Okay, so first off, we're going to start with a mock interview. So I have a cover letter that I've made up that I was applying to Polk School District to be the PE substitute teacher. If you'll take a look at that, and then if you can give me some pointers or ask me a question or two as if we were in an interview, that'd be great.
Right. The interviews that I've had recently, one of the main questions they asked was, what was your philosophy of teaching? So that may be something to kind of have in mind. Just your thoughts on how to run your classroom and general philosophy of education, like what you feel like the kids are weak in and that kind of thing is
Right.
some of the things that they asked in the most recent interview that I did. The last interview I did was actually for a coaching job, and they wanted to know why I wanted to be in a head coaching position. So I'm not sure if you're into coaching, but as far as PE is concerned, a big part of PE is classroom management. So that would be something to really look at. But that's probably the two main things the two biggest questions that I had to put some thought into was the classroom philosophy and how to manage your classroom.
Right.
Because there's so many students. A lot of times in PE we have 35 to 40 kids in the class at one time. So keeping everybody doing something is a challenge sometimes.
Right. I had to observe classes for elementary school, and I would just stare at that PE teacher and think, oh my gosh, how are you able to do all this? That's definitely something I'll learn throughout my educational career. Do you have questions that you would ask me as if you were interviewing me about my resume or cover letter, if anything like that?
I think it looks pretty good here.
I am gonna hopefully get a certificate in coaching through UTSA,
Right.
just so I can have that on my resume. I wasn't into sports in school and I didn't coach, so that's another reason why I kind of want to go the elementary school route. But I definitely I'm gonna put it on my resume if I have to apply to a high school or middle school, so that at least they see it.
Right. And that's one thing with PE jobs. I know in this area here, the majority of the people that hire PE jobs say that you have to coach at least one sport, and that's where they get their coaches from, is from the PE teachers. And most places the places that I applied to in the past said if you got this job you would be required to coach, so that would be something to consider.
I'll need to brush up
right.
For sure. Okay, so I'll start with my interview. I have a mandatory question that I'm going to ask you. So what qualities do you look for when you hire a person in your career field? And I guess you kind of answered that going over the resume, just the philosophy of teaching, class management, that kind of thing.
The organization is a big part of it. Just with PE, we there's a lot of variety of things that we can do, and I've been around PE teachers that do things one way, and then you go in a different gym and it looks totally different, but they're still accomplishing the same thing. So everybody's got their own way of teaching the standards.
And if it works for you, that works.
Right.
So one of the things that, like I said, since I wasn't a coach, you are. What do you coach here at the school?
I coach basketball and softball.
Okay, so how, as a coach, sometimes you have to have that stern hand and the ability to get them pumped for the game and keep their mind, focused. How do you set aside your coach life from your PE teacher life? Because like me, I didn't play sports.
Yeah, just stay out there, please.
I didn't play sports, so how did you do that?
With me, I feel like I have a very unique personality because I'm the same person in gym and the same person as a coach. Motivational wise, as a coach, there are times when you have to get a lot of energy to pass on to your team, and with me, I'm a very calm person and try to stay very relaxed and trying to stay even keel, whether it's good or bad, and kind of let that rub off on the kids. And then for the times that you need somebody to really pump you up and get some intensity, I like to have my assistant coaches. I try to pick assistant coaches that are a lot more outspoken and energetic because that's not my personality. My personality is very even keel, and I don't really get super excited or really mad about really anything. So
that's a good quality to have as a coach.
With me, that works out good for me, and especially as a head coach. But as an assistant coach, it's it's good to have somebody on your staff or that is able to
So you can
get
balance
that
each
extra,
other out,
right, get
for
that
sure.
motivation out of them. And that's where, with me teaching here with Coach Luke, we've been teaching together for 17 years, and he is the opposite of me because he's very, very emotional and he's very intense,
Yeah.
and then you got me who's just kind of even keel. So
Right. Awesome. Okay. What training and job experiences led you to where you are today and the 17 years of teaching?
right. I really pretty much decided I wanted to teach PE from the time I was probably in the 10th grade because I really got into it for the coaching side of it because I was really into football when I was younger and knew I wanted to coach football. And I had an uncle who was a football coach, and from the time I was about 8 or 9 years old, I was pretty much with him, went to practices and went to games. And
So your life was sports.
yes, I
Even
was
from
around sports all the time.
Right.
And then I went straight into school with the PE degree and started coaching from my first year. So from my very first year I was teaching, I was coaching 3 sports, and actually coached 3 sports until I had kids, so that I had to
Right.
spend some more time at home. But pretty much the sports and coaching side of it is what brought me to PE. But there's definitely a separation between what you do in PE and what you're doing at practice. But there's the background of it. My whole family was educators too. My mom worked in schools. A lot of uncles were in school teaching or coaching. So that's kind of the whole time I was always around people that were in education. So that kind of steered me towards that direction.
For sure. Okay. What are your job responsibilities? Like, what are your primary responsibilities being a PE teacher?
As a PE teacher, we serve duties. Most of our duties we do morning duty. So we have duty in the gym. Like when kids get to school, they all come to the gym, and we're responsible for supervising them in the morning before school for about 25-30 minutes.
Okay.
And then we also classroom duties. We teach each grade level. We teach 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade, and we have 2 classes of each of those. And then we also have to serve lunch duty once or twice a week. And then most of us don't have afternoon duty because we usually go straight to coaching right after
Okay.
school is out. But pretty much as far as the duties are concerned, we're just like any other teacher. The kids are graded. We have our own set of standards we follow. We have to have your lesson plans
Right.
turned in and everything. So as far as the teaching duties are pretty similar to the regular classroom. The differences are we have a lot more students, and generally in most cases we have to be very flexible because we have a lot of things going on in the gym. And if you got picture day or there's all kind of events, or
The
if you
gym
have
is
an
utilized
assembly,
for a
it's
lot of
during your
different
class. So
things. Right.
we have to be very flexible, a lot more flexible than a classroom teacher because they kind of got their own space and they kind of keep there. And with us, I mean, you have a lot of different things going on. So just being flexible and then doing your duties and lesson plans. And here recently we've had to start actually giving a written pre-test and post-test that's the state of Georgia required us to give. So that
Wow.
was interesting
I've
to
not
have
heard that, a
have a
written
written
one.
test for PE, a pre-test and a post-test. But it's we only have to give it to one grade level, which is pretty nice. The 7th graders have to take it. So
Wow.
but that was something a little different for us because I know every now and then we would do like a rules test or something like that, but
Yeah.
normally everything we do is skills based, and
Right.
we're all
What
about
kind
the
of
kids being
questions
active.
are on it?
Basically, it's everything from sportsmanship, like giving examples of how you should react in certain situations if
Scenarios.
someone's cheating, or
Yeah,
if one of your teammates is not very good at the sport and they're struggling, or they're not feeling good. And then it even goes into some coaching strategies and stuff, talking about what sports do you utilize man-to-man defense, and just
Wow.
some things like
That's
that are
interesting.
on the test. So it's the first couple years we gave it, the kids were in shock because they're like, I don't know this stuff. And it's like, okay,
We'll go
get
over
through
it.
Yeah, we'll get through it. So.
Well, that's been one change that I've heard of. What do you anticipate the changes in our field or in this field within the next 10 years or so?
For us, the last couple of years, technology has been a big part. We've had the kids at our school all have their own iPads, so we've tried to utilize some lessons that let them use some apps and some of those things, but
Like fitness apps?
Right,
Okay.
right. The like MyFitnessPal, where they
Yeah,
can keep
yeah.
up with their nutrition and how many calories they're taking in, and
Okay.
there's a lot of apps that have different exercise programs that we actually try to use a couple that we do our classroom exercises, so it gives them an exercise plan, and they can set goals as far as if they want to lose weight or just if they're trying to gain strength or whatever their goals are.
That's incredible to use technology in
the
PE.
technology is pretty good, and a lot of schools we can't afford it right now, but a lot of schools have heart rate monitors, and they have a classroom set of heart rate monitors, and they have a computer program that picks up and shows you what everybody's heart rate is, and it's pretty neat stuff. But there's a whole lot of technology that's people are just kind of starting to get used to using, or here anyway, because we hadn't had any of that in the last 3 or 4 years. It's gotten really big, but I think the inclusion side of things too, because a lot of times in the past, not every kid would have PE, and now we try to get every kid in the whole school at least has PE one time, so they get to come in and get the experience. Whereas in the past, if a kid had band, they were in band all year, they might not even get PE, so they might only get PE once during middle school. And now it's kind of mandated, I think it always has been mandated. It's just kind of being more enforced now that everybody has to take it. And
so
then,
within the 3 years, they try to get it once, or
no,
once the
there's
school year?
once each school year. So
Oh,
6th
okay.
grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade,
You'll take PE all
have to
3
have
years.
it. Yeah.
Oh,
and then
great.
the other thing was Georgia has started mandating that every student take the fitness assessment. We've just been doing that for, I guess, this is our 5th year doing that, which is, I think it's been really good, but we have to test every kid and send that in, and the state of Georgia is tracking all that.
Right. In college, when I was going to TCU, we actually had to take the fitness gram as if we were elementary school kids.
Right.
You know, it was
Oh yeah, and the kids like it too, because they challenge themselves to get a faster time or improve. And so I think that's a good thing for PE, that kids they want to do their best on that and try to see. It lets them see how much they've improved, so they get, and the parent gets a sheet, send it home, and say, hey, here's your scores, and they can look, hey, in the 6th grade, this is what I did, and here's what I did in 8th grade. So it's pretty neat for them to see their improvement. But I think that's I don't know, I don't see that going away, so I think that'll be something that's in the future that they'll maybe see some improvements on how the scoring is entered, because it's really tough on us, because we have to go through and enter every single kid that comes to PE. You have to put it in on a spreadsheet and send it in, so it's kind of time consuming, but hopefully we'll get an app or something that'll help us
I was
with
about
that
to say,
pretty
with
soon.
PE
Yeah.
having technology now,
Oh, yeah.
hopefully it'll be better for the teachers too.
Right.
Well, I think we've covered all the questions, and thank you so much for sitting here and doing this with me.
You're welcome. I appreciate it. Thanks for coming.